Hello and welcome everybody to Mr. Alex's 10 tips and tricks to improve your English. So in this video, I'm going to briefly go over 10 things that I think you should do to improve your English. So number one is change your phone settings to English. Now this is a really good way of slightly improving your English by going into your phone settings or your computer settings and switching the language to English, or at least having the secondary language as English. If you see English words every day on your phone, on apps and things that you are used to, you will start to learn those new English words. Okay, so that's tip number one. Tip number two is read more. Can be English novels, magazines, or newspapers. The biggest thing I think you can do to improve is just read more, okay? Reading is the most important skill when it comes to English, because if you can read properly, you can learn how to spell, you can learn correct grammar by copying the examples from other books or newspapers or magazines. You can get plenty of new vocabulary that you don't know. You can learn an entire vocabulary from a book, okay? And it just gives you a chance to practice speaking it with chunking, so how you're reading it properly, with tone and emotion. It really can make all the difference, and it just comes down to reading more. Okay, number three, I have when watching a movie, watch them with English subtitles, okay? So if you're watching a Hollywood movie, I see too many of you put the subtitles as Chinese, okay? That's not going to help you improve at all. You really either need to watch it without subtitles, or if you're going to use subtitles, make sure they are in English, okay? Heck, even if you're going to be watching a Chinese movie and you understand the Chinese, have the English subtitles underneath. You'll then start to associate the English words with the meaning, which is really good to do, okay? Tip number four, when reading, make sure to chunk your sentences properly, okay? So this isn't a way how to study, this is just how to sound better in English. I'm going to explain this properly now. So, what is chunking? Well, chunking is about how we separate the sounds. So it's about don't read the same sound. So if I take this first sentence here and read it without chunking, it's going to sound like this. From then on, Matilda would visit the library only once a week in order to take out new books and return the old ones. Her own small bedroom now became her reading room, and there she would sit and read most afternoons, often with a mug of hot chocolate beside her. So like that, it doesn't sound natural, okay? You sound like a robot. It's not just about your tone, it's about how you break up the words. So if I do it again using chunking, where I'm going to take short breaks in between, from then on, Matilda would visit the library only once a week in order to take out new books and return the old ones. Her own small bedroom now became her reading room, and there she would sit and read most afternoons, often with a mug of hot chocolate beside her. So notice I was taking short breaks in the correct time, okay? This is also known as sentence stress, but I do call it chunking, where you're putting together chunks of words, and that's what you're going to say between punctuation, okay? You should be practicing this for everything. You can put like a slash mark where you're going to add a chunk, okay? So you could be like, from then on, slash, Matilda would visit the library only once a week, slash, in order, okay? There's no right way to do this. Just make sure you are reading with chunks, okay? Tip number five, watch or learn from your hobbies in English. So what do I mean by this? What I mean is if you're playing, for example, video games, try and set the video game to English, okay? Play some English video games. Learn the English from the game, okay? If you're really into music, switch to some English songs, okay? Learn from that. Movies, same thing. Watch English movies. Pick up the words from that, okay? You can pick up a lot if you like what you're learning from, okay? It's really important. Number six, having a vocabulary diary. So what do I mean by this? So, for example, if you're reading every day and you pick up words that you don't know what they mean, It's really important that you note those words down and try and find the meaning. Don't just skip over it and say, I don't know what that means, okay? Every time you find a word that you don't mean, you should have your own individual book, or it can be a notepad on your phone or your iPad, where you write down those words that you don't know the meaning of. With English, if you want to, you can put the Chinese translation. However, I would say you can write the English meaning in words that you would understand. And then if you're writing only one word a day, by the end of the year, that's nearly 400 new vocabulary items, okay? It's really important to learn a word a day. Number 7, study effectively. So what do I mean by study effectively? So this is just fits in quite nicely with the past one. If you're going to study for 9 hours in one day, that's not effective studying, okay? Doing a little bit every day, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, okay? Separated over a year, that's far more efficient, okay? Don't waste the time when you're in Form 1 or Form 2, okay? Use it as early as you can and start studying bit by bit. Also, repetition and copying does not count as studying, okay? I know that when we teach you dictation, it can be quite useful to practice the copying, but when it comes to things like speaking, or when it comes to an actual test, if you don't understand the meaning of the word outside of the spelling, then you cannot use that word, okay? So make sure you're not just learning the spelling of words, okay? Make sure you learn around the word so you can explain the word, okay? So whenever you learn something, make sure you can use it in a sentence, for example. Number 8, I think it's really important that we rely less on translation apps. I see a lot of you would probably just Google a word and ask it to translate it to English, okay? It's really bad to do that. If you don't know how to say a word in English, try and describe the word, which links into the last point. Being able to describe a word is really important. So for example, let's take the word library, for example. If you don't know the word library, you could say the place where you borrow books, okay? Now I still can understand that perfectly, and you've used English and you're expanding your vocab that way, okay? It's really important. Number 9, practice, practice, practice. Anytime you can get, if you're talking with your friends, maybe talk in English, okay? If you're using something, a phone, or you're going to talk in with a teacher that speaks English, an English teacher particularly, make sure you're using English with them, okay? In lessons, don't waste the time. Use English, okay? So particularly in Zoom, okay? Make sure you're using your English whenever you can, okay? Just practice, practice, practice. Don't give up, and make sure you're constantly learning something new. If you don't use your English, you will forget. And lastly, I've got come and find a teacher when you need help. If it's oral practice you particularly need, you can come and find me as well, Mr. Alex. Okay, those are my 10 tips and tricks that I think you should be doing to improve your English. I hope you start doing all of them, but maybe you can take it a bit by bit, okay? Effective studying. Okay, goodbye everybody.